Some of the wildest stories out there are buried deep in the internet's history. We're talking about mysteries that start on some forgotten forum and spiral into something else, something real. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. This is the absolutely bizarre case of Lake City quiet pills.
Okay, so to get this, you have to picture the internet of the late 2000s. Our story starts on a site called Fark. Think of it like a precursor to Reddit, a place for news, links, and a whole lot of commentary. It was a classic hub of old-school internet culture. And it was here that a very strange character started making a name for himself. His username was Religion of Peace, and he was a 79-year-old guy who was just constantly posting about weapons, combat, and these wild stories from his past. He really stood out, and then one day in 2010, he just went silent, vanished completely from the forum. For months, nothing. Then, out of the blue, this message pops up on Fark. It's blunt, kind of cold even. Milo died. It seems to close the book on this weird old guy. But honestly, this is where his story really, truly begins. So, who exactly was this guy? Before we get into the conspiracy, we've got to understand the man, or at least the digital ghost he left behind. Let's dig into who Milo was.
You see, Religion of Peace wasn't just your average cranky old dude online. There was something different about the way he talked, the details he dropped, the language he used. It felt less like a guy telling tall tales and more like a retired mercenary. Seriously.
And the things he'd claim, they were super specific. He'd talk about working in places like Korea, Vietnam, Lebanon. He even called himself a man who worked for the government for 40 years. The whole persona was just precise, professional. It had this military-grade feel to it that got everyone on the forum talking.
So, after he died, a few of the forum members got curious and started to do a little digging. It didn't take long for them to find a website registered in his name. And what they found there? Well, it took this from a weird story to a full-blown internet rabbit hole.
This is the site they found, lakecityquietpills.com. Super simple design, a couple of photos, and this just bizarre banner. Dispensing Lake City quiet pills to lousy bastards. That's pure Milo right there. At first, it just looked like another strange personal page on the old, weird internet. But it was so much more. Then somebody had a stroke of genius. They thought, wait a minute, what if the real site isn't what we can see? What if it's in the code? So they right-clicked, hit View Page Source, and started looking at the HTML. And that's when everything changed. Tucked away in the code were hidden comments. Little notes that web developers leave for each other that aren't supposed to show up on the actual page. And the messages were chilling. The first one they found? Need 3 for escort. Right away they knew this was not some old guy's blog. And they kept finding more, each one more alarming than the last. This one here, client needs cleanup team. I mean, come on, that's not subtle. That is the straight-up language of covert ops, of stuff that happens in the shadows. And then they found this one, which almost sounds normal in comparison. Big party, January 15th. Details later. Initially, users figured, okay, maybe this was for his funeral or a memorial. Oh, how wrong they were. This one message turned out to be the key to the entire thing. So let's just pause and put this together. The internet sleuths realized what they were looking at. This wasn't a website. It was a digital dead drop, a secret bulletin board for a network of mercenaries or spies hiding in plain sight on some old man's forgotten homepage. And right here is where the story leaps off the screen and smashes right into real-world international headlines. Because that big party they were talking about for January 15th, well, it looks like it actually happened. Just look at this timeline. A slightly longer version of the message read, Big party, January 15, payback time. Just 4 days later, 4 days, on January 19, 2010, Mahmoud al-Mabou, a senior Hamas commander, was assassinated in his hotel room in Dubai. The timing is it's too perfect to be a coincidence, right? And the details of the actual assassination just make the connection even stronger. This wasn't a sloppy job. It was a textbook covert op. The target was a big deal. The location was secure, and the Dubai police themselves said the hit squad had very high military skill. It sounds exactly like what was being discussed on that weird little website. So, once this theory started blowing up on the forums, another user, who went by Angel26, showed up. They claimed they actually knew Milo in real life. And they basically confirmed everyone's darkest fears, saying that Milo wasn't just some guy who talked a big game. He was a commander who spent his entire career quieting dangerous people.
So, what are we supposed to make of all this? We have a dead man, a website that's gone, and a string of coincidences that are honestly just too wild to ignore. So how do we explain it? Let's go through the big theories that people still debate to this day.
Okay, so it really boils down to 3 possibilities. Theory number 1, it was all real. Lake City Quiet Pills was exactly what it looked like, a secret message board for a crew of mercenaries, and Milo was in charge. Theory 2, it was all just a game, a super elaborate alternate reality game, or ARG. The only problem there is that no one has ever claimed credit for creating it. And finally, Theory 3, the middle ground. Milo was a real veteran with some crazy stories, and after he died, other people on the forum just built up this legend around him, maybe even adding the coded messages themselves.
And here's the thing. If you try to go to lakecityquietpills.com today, you can't. It was wiped from the internet years ago. All that's left are screenshots, old forum threads, the digital breadcrumbs left behind by the people who first found it. The main piece of evidence is just gone.
Which leaves us with one last kind of haunting question. Was this a mystery that was just too hard to crack? Or was it a secret that was never supposed to be found in the first place? A shadow operation that was designed to vanish the second that anyone started looking too closely. Maybe this is one case that was never, ever meant to be solved.